Welcome to The Corner, La Source's digital show dedicated to the sport and entertainment industry. Every 2 weeks, we invite a professional to share their experience, background, and challenges. The sport industry moves fast, and having their insights is the best way to keep up to speed. Welcome to The Corner.
Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Le Corner. My name is Leander, partner at La Source, and today I have the pleasure to host Christoph Winterling of Bologna FC. Christoph, welcome. How are you doing today? Busy times, I assume.
Yeah, welcome, Leander. Welcome to the audience. I'm doing very well. Luckily, the team is doing very well, so this helps the environment to wake up in the morning with a big smile and then looking forward for the next matches. We still have a lot of important and exciting matches in front of us. We are still fighting for going back to Champions League, which would be an incredible success, and hopefully also go to the final for Coppa Italia. So it's a very positive moment for the club.
Yeah, and when kind of the sporting results are there, then obviously that also reflects on the overall kind of business and operations of a club, right? How many clubs do you have? How many games do you have left in this season?
So we have still 7 games left, of which 4 are away games and 3 are home games, and we still play against big teams like Juventus, Inter, Atalanta, Fiorentina. So it's a very difficult calendar, but we are looking forward, and I fully agree with you. When the team wins and has success on field, this has always a very positive impact actually on everybody. So within the organization, but also among our fans and among our city. So currently, being also the only club in town, there is an incredible positive atmosphere. Everybody speaks about Bologna. Most of the stores you see in the city center are currently personalized with our colors. So, or with a jersey or the scarf or something else, which is red and blue. So it's an incredible positive vibe within the city at the moment.
Very nice to hear. I think we're all rooting for Bologna in the next couple of in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, to start off, to kick off, I'd love you to kind of introduce yourself to our listeners. Maybe walk us through your career journey. I think particularly the transition from agency to your current role at Bologna can be very relevant. But yeah, happy to get introduced.
Yeah, happy to tell you and the audience something about my career, which started actually 25 years ago. So I'm becoming old already. But
Experienced is the word.
so as you said, I started in the agency business, working for Sport 5. I started actually in Germany. I'm German, but then I was lucky during my career to not only work for agencies but also make different experiences. So I worked for brands, and 15 years ago I started to work for rights holders, so for football clubs in Italy. I moved actually to Italy. That was 17 years ago for Adidas. So I was always privileged or lucky to do different experiences in different countries, which I think is always a great experience, always a great opportunity. Um, and again, I'm thankful for having had the opportunity to work in different, different companies in different areas in different sports, because I think it's also very helpful to have different experiences, which help me today in my business. And having worked for brands, for example, helps me today in when we sell sponsorships, understanding what company needs, understanding to make perhaps also the right questions to really know the challenges companies have within their organization also to activate sponsorships or even to evaluate sponsorships. So this is today mainly in the sponsorship area, but I'm covering different areas in my business. But in the sponsorship area, this is very helpful.
Yeah, I understand. And so how long have you been working now for Bologna?
So I'm work now for the club for 11 years. I was actually starting with our new owner. So the club was bought 11 years ago from a Canadian businessman, which is also the owner of Montreal FC, a club which is playing in the MLS. And he bought the club 11 years ago, and I started with him.
Okay, amazing, amazing. And so your entire career, if I'm not mistaken, is has been in sports, or did you start outside of sports first?
No, I worked always in the world of sport, but as I said before, I was lucky to work in different sports or managing different assets. So in the world of athletics, in the world of motorcycling, in the world of tennis, handball, so different sports, rugby, which honestly was a great experiences, and I still take advantage of that today in my business.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, to what extent do you use experiences from other sports, and to what extent do you feel they are different or certain similarities that maybe you've taken from those sports to now working in football?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important to be um, first of all curious, to be open-minded, and to see what is happening outside within an organization. So in, for myself, I'm watching a lot of different sports. I'm going out also to a lot of live events to see how they are organized. I speak to a lot of people, but not only sport events, but also music events or other um, events where I think all can learn something, can take advantage of. Then obviously you have to understand your own environment to really to understand what is uh, possible to copy or to implement, or what is a nice idea but which is not possible to do it in the same way. When we talk about different sports, I mean, you can learn from every sport, and I think it's really useful to look in all the different sports events, again, music events. But today, when I take an example, which for me is currently a very interesting example where I think football can learn a lot of, is Formula One. Because I think because we have currently the challenge to bring people to the stadium, but also to improve the product on TV. And I think Formula One is doing a fantastic job, um, talking about their TV product. So I think they are improving the product in an incredible way, giving the people access to a lot of data during the race, giving the people access to the communication between the driver and the team principal, or the driver and the team itself. Different cameras which shows the driver, which shows the car, which shows the race. I think they're doing a fantastic job on TV, but also on ground. So they give people, partners, sponsors, the possibility to have access to the drivers, to the boxes, also shortly before the race. We in football are still struggling a little bit in that. Um, so I think it's a good example to look into and to learn from.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think when we talk about Formula One as an example, most often we talk about Drive to Survive and how that has changed a bit perception of the sport. But I agree that it goes much broader than that, right? It's how the product is being distributed, as you say, the data, access to the players, and also from my experience when I was working at the league and selling media rights, there was always these kind of conversations around how can we give the broadcasters access to the players. But I think football teams have been kind of very conservative in that sense. I was talking to somebody last week about this, and we were saying like it's always yes, maybe you can have access to the dressing rooms, but only if we if we win, and only if it's a positive speech, and if it's so. So still, it's very difficult, I think, to build a story around that. It's it's like the story and the narrative goes with the positive and the negative. And I think this is definitely where football still has a lot of progress to be made. So thank you. That's really relevant. And then maybe going back to your journey, right? You started that in 2014, coming with the new ownership. So looking back at that time, so far, what would you say have been kind of the biggest milestones, transformations that the club has undergone?
I think a lot of factors have brought us to where we are currently, and obviously our journey hopefully goes on, and hopefully we continue to grow. But I mean, it was a very difficult situation when the club was bought in 2014. Actually, the club had no assets, so the training center was not belonging to the club, stadium was not belonging to the club. Only a few players were belonging to the club. Most of the players were on loan. The clubs were full of debt. So it took us some years to bring back the club on a solid base, doing a lot of investments into players, into infrastructure, also into people, into the organization. And then we started to build up on this to bring the club back on the way we wanted to bring back the club. So to go back to Europe within the 10 years, you have to understand that Bologna is one of the most historical football clubs in Italy. We won 7 times the Italian title, 2 times the Italian Cup. So the idea was to bring back the club a little bit to his glory of the past. Um, so luckily we went back to Europe last year. So within the 10 years we reached that goal. But at the same time, we wanted to give the club like also credibility. So we worked a lot on the image of the club, credibility within the city mainly, but within the country, but also internationally. Um, and that was the second very important aspect for us. And obviously, during the journey, you do also mistakes. You learn from your mistakes. Um, but today, I would say it's a very well organized club with a good reputation. Luckily, on field, we have success. We are starting now also our digital transformation. This took us a little bit because talking about football clubs and about the challenges and about perhaps the resistant, also the digital transformation within the football club perhaps takes a bit longer than in other industries. So we're starting to do this now. So I think we are on a good way. There is still a lot of things to do. To mention 1 or 2 key factors is impossible, Leander, because so many things were happening, and it depends always on the timing and on the situation. Obviously, success on field helps you also to develop perhaps faster some things. You have perhaps also more budget available because obviously also our revenues are growing tremendously. So this year, for example, we should hit for the first time the 200 million turnover coming from a much smaller amount last year. Obviously, Champions League is helping us. Obviously, player trading is helping us, but also the commercial revenues are growing. So this helps us also to grow faster than we had been able in the past.
Yeah, and I can see also why this club was an interesting asset, I guess, for investors, because the rich history combined with maybe a difficult situation that poses some opportunity for growth must have been one of the reasons why the club has been invested into. So that's really interesting to see. And I guess focusing first in that journey on the sports performance, and then moving now to different kind of investments into the business side definitely makes sense, because without the sports, as we said, or without the sporting success, it's very difficult to focus on the business side of things. So yeah, and then you mentioned the rich history of the club of Bologna. And Bologna is obviously also a beautiful city in Italy, capital I think of the province, and then with about 400,000 inhabitants is what I saw, and it feels a bit
Yeah,
similar to. Yeah, it feels a bit similar to the city where I am in Ghent, and I always try to promote the city of Ghent as well. But so it has a strong history, as does the club, right? It was one of the founding members of Serie A. Can you tell us a little bit more about that history and its origins? What kind of soul it has as a club? Because that's also always, I think, relevant, definitely as well to see from the business side, as you say, how you create that credibility based on the rich history that the club has.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned before it was a good opportunity for our owner. He was looking into different clubs. He was looking into different opportunities also in Italy, but he saw the potential of Bologna. And I will shortly speak about the history of the club. But outside of the club, the advantages he saw and which have been confirmed uh, was the richness of the territory. So it's a territory, a very wealthy territory, with also several global brands, and we will talk later about how we leverage on that. But we have the headquarter of Lamborghini here. We have the headquarter of Ducati. Ferrari is very close. Philip Morris was opening factories to produce the IQOS cigarette. So a lot of international companies as well. But then the heritage of the club, again, 7 titles, founder of Serie A, but also a very positive image. So Bologna was always considered as a club which for sure doesn't have the biggest fan base, but is among the fans, among the clubs which people like. So we don't have enemies. Again, we are the only club in town. So there's a very strong link between the territory and the club, and this is also helping us in creating a strong triangle between fans, clubs, and also the sponsors, because obviously also the sponsors take advantage of that strong link between the club and fans, because, for example, the fans, they are more open to buy products from our sponsors because they see that they support the club they love. So these are all advantages of that club. And as you said, we are the capital of the region, which is called Emilia-Romagna. Uh, so we take advantage of that. And another factor where we take advantage of, especially in the last years, is the growing number of tourists. So more and more people are coming to tourists. It all started with Ryanair, which obviously was helping us to bring more people to Bologna. But then Bologna started itself to promote itself in a better way. We are currently a kind of hub where people are coming, stop, and perhaps see one day the city, and then they go one day to Florence, which is half an hour away, one day to Venice, which is an hour away, to see Ferrari. So this number is growing, and we take advantage of this as well. So, for example, currently 15% of our tickets we sell to people from outside of Italy. 20% of our merchandising business we sell to people from outside of Italy. So we take advantage of that growing number of tourists which are coming to Bologna.
Yeah, really interesting. I'm going to northern Italy, so maybe for the holiday, so I might pass by Bologna.
And we have good food.
Yeah, for sure. You've sold it well here, so I will. And so you mentioned it, right? The club is deeply embedded with the region, but also then with the kind of iconic brands in the region, like Lamborghini and Ducati. How do you kind of build partnerships? How do you leverage that local ecosystem and then to enhance maybe your commercial brand strategy?
Yeah, we work mainly on the territory because we know that the territory is our strongest bond, our strongest link. Obviously, we want to grow nationally and globally. Globally, we know we have to do it with partners. So this can be sponsors, but it can be, and it has to be also Serie A, which is investing now heavily also outside of Italy. Um, Obviously, every partnership is an individual partnership, has a different story, but to give you an idea how we, for example, try to leverage Lamborghini. So obviously we try to leverage this partnership on ground, um, uh, starting having different activities for our fans. So they can see the Lamborghini in the stadium. They can also test the Lamborghini. We do awards, we do prizes together with the Lamborghini. Uh, the players are involved. So once a year, we're going to Lamborghini to see the factory, to see the museum, to do also a test drive with the players. They are also leveraged with other sponsors we have. For example, Macron, they are partner of Lamborghini as well. So there's a triangle between Lamborghini, Macron, and ourselves. So we are using it on ground, but we try to use it also on a global level. So Lamborghini is a fantastic ambassador when they are going abroad and they speak about Bologna, speak about the club. This is very important for us. We try to create synergies where, again, we can take advantage of that global audience, global awareness of Lamborghini, because we think and we know that together we are much, much stronger.
Yeah, and I guess you mentioned it, right? Together we're much stronger. I feel from our clients and our work that we see that the kind of sponsorship landscape is definitely shifting. It's the same for the media landscape, where I think deeper partnerships are being desired, moving away maybe from the traditional visibility only kind of deals to deeper collaborative data driven partnerships. You have vast experience in sports sponsorship, not just at Bologna, but then also just throughout your career. How do you see that shift? Do you see it, and then also how does that translate to a club like Bologna and their partnerships?
Yeah, I mean, the media landscape is changing, but also the sponsorship landscape is changing. Um, you have to differentiate between local partners, perhaps more national, international companies, because again, everybody has perhaps different interests, different objectives. We still have some local partners which luckily do investments also because they love the club. It's their passion. They love to see the logo on the LED boards when they come to the stadium, when they bring clients or they bring employees to the stadium. But a lot of companies are asking for more and more data. They want to understand if the investment works. They want to understand, for example, the media value of the investments they do in our club, but they want to get also more and more access to our fans. So that's the reason why we have to improve into the digital, to invest into this digital transformation, to interact more and more with our fans, to get more and more knowledge about our fans, to understand what they love, to understand also what we, for example, would like to buy in the next years, to give this data to our sponsors, which then hopefully monetize this data. So this is something which I see coming more and more in the future, that sponsors or partners, they need more and more data. They want to have more and more access to our fans, and they want to monetize that relationship with our fans. And we
Yeah.
have to help them on the journey. A third point is also the money can buy experience, because at the end of the day, we sell also emotions. Football is emotions. And we have the opportunity to allow partners to do experiences which you can't buy. And we come back to the point I mentioned before, the Formula One. The Formula One is a perfect example for this. They're doing an incredible job in this. And these are things we have to improve. Otherwise, we really risk to lose partners and to lose money.
And is that the last point you raised, is that still a challenge internally between kind of the business department and then the sports department? Is there any way where, I don't know, this kind of conversation is facilitated? Because obviously it's often the sports staff that is kind of reluctant to give this type of access. How do you kind of try to tackle this?
Yeah, the challenges are two. I mean, one is the regulations, and I think we have to look also into the regulations and to see that we find a good mix between the needs of a sport department, the needs of a good organization of a match, but also the needs of partners which bring the money to our club, but also to the system. And then the second one is the sport department. And again, we have to find the right mix between the needs of a sport department but also needs of a commercial department. And it's a challenge. It depends also sometimes on the moment. You mentioned it, when you win, it's becoming easier. But I think it should become it shouldn't depend on the results on field, but it should become really something which should be implemented within an organization. There should be clearness about what you can do, what you can't do. But I think with the respect, obviously, of the needs of a sport department and the preparation for a match, the preparation also during the week, that we have to give our partners more access.
Yeah, makes sense. And then you mentioned the need for more data and knowledge, understanding of the fans and access to the fans. That links to the digital transformation topic. Obviously, that's quite a big undertaking for a club. Um, can you tell us a little bit about where you are in that journey and in that capability as a club, and what kind of steps are you taking to be able to, in the future, um, give this access to partners, and also just in general to connect yourself better with the fans?
Yeah, so we started not a long time ago, to be honest, to invest into the digital transformation. Um, we First of all, we said that we think that the app um, should become the main contact point with the people which want to interact with the club, because I personally think that more and more people are using the mobile phone. Um, Obviously, also our homepage is important, but I think the mobile phone will become and is already the most important contact point with our fans when we talk about where people are getting information access to the club. So we said, okay, we have to improve our app. Obviously, we have to improve the content. Obviously, we have to improve the access um, to the app. But we also have to see how we can use the app to understand better our fans and to improve the services for commercial revenues. Um, so we were relaunching our app, um, focusing when we talk about commercial revenues on ticketing. So we said we want to give the people the opportunity to buy online tickets in an easy, modern way. Um, so we launched that new ticketing service with a 2D map, but also with a single sign-on. So asking people to sign in, give us some information, but then download the ticket on the phone and come to the stadium without printing the ticket, which was still necessary until 3 years ago. So this was working very well. Currently, 95% of the tickets we sell online. Um, we still give people also the opportunity to buy tickets in stores, because we know that especially the older generation, they like still to go to a store, they like to talk to the people, they like to have something in their hand, but 95% now buy tickets online. So this gives, on the one hand, their fans a better and a more modern service. On the other hand, we get more access to our fans and we get to understand better our fans. The same thing is now happening with our online business, merchandising licensing, together with a partner which is called Fanatics. And then the next steps will be, for example, a loyalty program. So we want to enable our fans that they can take advantage if they buy a product from Bologna, but also if they buy a product from our sponsors. So we are thinking of launching a loyalty program within the next months. So this will be the next step, and then we will go on. At the same time, we invested also heavily in a CRM system. So all the information we get mainly from um, from our app, from the single sign-on. These information go directly into our CRM system and enable us to communicate in a more individual way with our fans.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that the loyalty program is definitely something we see that a lot of clubs are thinking of working on, and it's not just digital, right? It's also everything which is like the physical experience. It's kind of covering both. We did a podcast not too long ago with Thomas Rijpens from a Belgian club, Club Brugge. Definitely worth listening to as well. He's much focused on the loyalty topic. And so yeah, and then I think in the beginning of this podcast you've mentioned it, or you alluded to it. It's not really easy in an organization like a football club to kind of embed the digital first thinking. What do you see as a kind of organizational challenges to implement this?
Yeah, it takes time. It takes time, first of all, to get the go to invest into the digital transformation, and this has to come from the top, so from the CEO. So CEO has to first of all give the green light for investments, but then also to to yeah um,
To
to
give the buy-in, I guess, or
tell the organization
yeah.
um, that this digital transformation is necessary within the organization, and change also the mindset. So to take off the resistance of some people for challenges, for new things. I think it's natural when new things are happening. Sometimes people are also afraid, but to see this really as an opportunity and not as an additional workload, and to see the advantages a digital transformation can bring. So I think this has to be done first, the investments, but then also um, to change the mindset of the organization. Um, Having done this, then it becomes much easier that everybody's going into the same direction. I think it's a work which has to be done within the whole organization. So it's not only the digital transformation within the commercial department or within also the sport department. Also in the sport department, a lot of things are happening. Decisions are more and more based on data. I mean, we see it now also in Serie A becoming happening more and more. Also, thanks to owners which are coming from America, which have different experiences. I think again, you always have to find the right mix between perhaps the data and then also when we talk about scouting, seeing the people on ground, talking to people, having also a feeling for the players and what the eye sees. But again, I mean, it's something which has to be implemented within the whole organization.
Yeah, and you feel at this point you've developed the club since 2014. I assume that now the mindset has changed and that you're kind of ready to build that digital roadmap for the next couple of years.
Yeah, again, we started not a long time ago, so we see now the first results, and also to see positive results helps to um, motivate, convince the whole organization to go on, because some people are unsure if it's necessary, if it will work. Um, so again, we are at the very beginning. We will continue to invest into the digital transformation, and I'm sure that the results will help the organization to grow.
Yeah, it's a classic kind of consultancy also point of view, I guess, but it's something that every time we work on these kind of digital strategies and roadmaps and all these kind of things, think it needs to go beyond just a strategy and already in the beginning have certain and sorry for the word, but a quick win. I think that's what you need. I remember when I was at the Belgian league, we were also going to invest heavily in digital and data, and we hired a BI, somebody who was responsible for business intelligence and kind of bringing together the data and getting buy-in to hire a profile like this was quite hard, to be honest. But then quite quickly he was able to come with certain dashboards and data to support decisions across different departments, and then it becomes very tangible. And I think these kind of things are really, really helpful to build on and just show from the beginning that there's value in those initial investments, I guess.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I mean, this is something where I'm also challenging our head of digital. Uh, I tell them, listen, speak with the different departments, with the head of department, which could be the head of sales, so for sponsorships, the head of licensing, the head of ticketing, and show them how you can help them to improve the business. Because then he becomes more credible. The people do invest more time, more interest in this digital transformation. And I think this is very, very helpful that within the organization you create also the right setup and you do the right steps to help also the digital department to express themselves in the best way.
Yeah. And then I had a question more on the fans themselves. I mean, you've talked about the city, the link with the city, understanding the fans and afterwards as well. But what type of fans are Bologna fans? Like, what's the atmosphere like from a match day experience? Because obviously every fan has its kind of identity. Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's not one fan. So we have luckily a very different target. So we have I mean the hardcore fan, which is going into the curva. We have a lot of families coming to our stadium. To give you an idea, we have a family sector which is sold out with season tickets. Almost 3,000 tickets we sell. So this is around 10% of our total capacity. We have also a lot of women coming to our stadium. So 10-15% are women. We have a lot of entrepreneurs coming, but they are not necessarily in the hospitality area. A lot of older people, which obviously have started to follow our club 50, 60 years ago, which still have a very strong link with the club. So different people, and we try to take care of them in a very individual way. So not only in the stadium, but also outside of the stadium during the week. So we have launched a kids club for kids between 0 and 14 years, where we give them opportunities to engage with our club, so they can enter on field, they can do an interview with our players, but also with our partners. So they learn how to make cheese, they learn how to make jam, they learn they learn something about the city. We have a senior club where we do different activities for people during the week to stay in contact with them. I mean, we were helping them a lot during COVID. We're using our legends. We watch together with them away matches. We are planning to launch a women's club. We just launched an initiative with kids which are born in the region. So every kid which is born within the region will get a jersey for free. So we try to connect from the very beginning with our fans and try to work with them individually, also in our communication, also on social media, because we think that it is an opportunity, but at the same time also a responsibility we have.
Yeah, amazing. Makes lots of sense. Before wrapping up, can you tell us a little bit more about the relationship that you have with the league? I'm asking because one of the things that we work on a lot is also for leagues to help them build a stronger connection with their clubs in terms of servicing them through technology, knowledge sharing, and so on. And I think at least that's our vision, that a league can play quite a central role in its ecosystem. Do you see a shift there? Do you see a role to play for the league, or is it still more of a governance vehicle rather than something that an organization that drives value for the clubs?
So I think Serie A, and we're talking now about Serie A, has that has to be also a service provider for clubs, and luckily, thanks also to foreign owners which bought the clubs in the last years, mainly Americans, which also come from a different culture. Um, the collaboration between the presidents and the idea to go into the same direction and to do things together is growing tremendously. And I think it's a need, and we are on a good way. Again, a way which started not a lot of years ago, so it will take time. Um, but I'm definitely convinced that uh, Serie A has to offer services to the clubs to grow together and to be more powerful together.
And what type of services do you see it more as kind of technology or kind of inspiration building and best practices and knowledge sharing, or I don't know, is there anything
Different
particular?
steps. I mean, it started with the internationalization of Serie A, opening up different offices, one in America, one in the Middle East. We are planning to open other offices in other countries in the next years. Doing a lot of activities, grassroots, but then also helping clubs when they travel to different countries. Um, but as you said, it's also important that Serie A is offering other services to the clubs. Again, in the last months, we developed also a marketing research platform which Serie A offers clubs. But also from a technological point of view, we're currently looking into a centralized app which perhaps Serie A could make available to clubs, so that everybody is taking advantage of our national global audience, um, which Serie A provides, which again gives a single club, which is otherwise not as strong as the whole system, more opportunities. And this is only one thing. There are also some other initiatives we are currently working on, where Serie A sees itself as a service provider for the clubs.
That's really interesting to see that kind of evolution across different leagues in Europe, and it's, as you said, it's probably also linked to the kind of different ownership models. Um, this was really interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of takeaways for the audience as well. Um, I have two kind of closing questions we always ask. One is kind of what advice would you give to professionals um, or clubs navigating in the intersection of commercial strategy and digital innovation today? Is there any kind of general advice that you feel is worth sharing based on your experience?
Yeah, I mean, uh, the advice I give to everybody, but also to students which look into opportunities. I think the most important thing is to do something where your passion is, because when you have a passion for something, you will perform better. Um, to have dreams, to follow the dreams, to be curious. Not to be afraid to make mistakes. I also tell always my team to really think outside of the box, that almost everything is allowed. Obviously, you learn from your mistakes and you shouldn't do mistakes twice, but there's nothing where people should look into it or should also ask myself if it's possible to be curious. Again, as I said before, it should be also to be open-minded, to look into other clubs, into other sports, into other events, into other technologies, because it's necessary for everybody individually in his growth, um, but then also for our business, because we know football is sometimes a business which is a bit resistant to new technologies, to changes. Um, but I think we have to challenge ourselves every day, because otherwise we really risk to lose mainly the younger audience. Um, so we have to be very careful, and we have to be quick, fast, open-minded. And I think this is very important for everybody which is also working in our industry.
I couldn't agree more. And then finally to wrap it up, is there a book, a podcast, film, whatever that kind of inspired your thinking or leadership in the sports business world? We always ask this question.
Honestly, no, but I'm reading a lot of um, biographs from athletes, from entrepreneurs, but also from politicians. And I think you can take from everybody something, and then you have to find for yourself the right mix. Uh, but again, not only talking about individuals, but also about traveling a lot and take and learn different cultures is also enriching my life personally. So I try to again be curious as possible, to learn as much as possible, to ask as much as possible, and then try to find the right mix for myself.
Yeah, but I think the audience has probably felt your passion and curiosity. So that's really great. I want to thank you, Christoph, for this being part of this podcast. It was really valuable, and I hope you enjoyed it yourself as well. And then I want to also thank the Le Corner audience for listening and tuning in. Thanks a lot, and hope to be able to see you soon and hear from you in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Leander, for the opportunity, and all the best with your podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. We hope you enjoy it as much as we love creating them. If you like the episode, feel free to comment, rate, and share with people around you. You can visit our website, www.lastsource.io, to learn more about our activities. You will discover a wide range of articles and can subscribe to our newsletter to receive the latest tech and sports news in your mailbox every month. Stay tuned for new episodes.
Le Corner.